Origin just home reaction. This is Angry Old Veteran versus 700 Redcoats. Samuel Whittemore. Whittemore? Yeah. He's watching the Fat Electrician. This is a new video he posted. And one thing that makes me think, like, is this like Patriot, that movie, Mel Gibson thing? Is this what's about? I don't know. It's the feeling it's giving me. And back then, like, you know, inspired by real story was a real thing. So maybe that was like inspired by this at least. I don't know. We'll see. I guess, you know, Fat Electrician basically will tell us if that's the case. But yeah, I'm always like happy when this like badass series is back, right? Basically, this is also one of basically badass guy. One guy versus 700. So I guess another one of their, you know, badass series, right? I guess this is badass, you know, veteran, old. What was it called? Redcoat versus who? I don't know. But American side, basically. Badass American side during the, you know, this, American-British war, whatever. So, yeah, this is going to be very interesting because I don't know much about, you know, conflicts and wars around that time, right? America's fight for independence. I kind of know it because of Oversimplified and things like that, but not the, like, core things of it, like key people and things like that, like this guy, basically, Samuel Whittemore or something. So that's going to be very fun to watch. So yeah, remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe, so that way you can support this channel by supporting the I guess algorithm. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the end card as well. I created a playlist for, you know, Fat Electrician reactions. And yeah, let's watch it.
Ah yes, the official state hero of Massachusetts. Today we're talking about Samuel Whittemore, quite possibly America's first anti-hero and the most gangster old man of all time. But first, a word from our sponsor, because
Wait a minute, what does anti-hero means? He wasn't a hero? I don't know.
this video is brought to you by Operation Good Boy. They make all kinds of dog-related products, from supplements to treats to toys to dog poop picker-upper bags. And Mushu absolutely loves the Made in America treats ready to eat. Jake, do you roll over? Roll over. Roll over. Come on. You got it. No, do the whole thing. You got to do the whole thing, dude. Roll over. Roll over. Roll over. You're making me look bad on camera. Roll over. Fine. Good job. So yeah, check them out at OperationGoodBoy.com. Use the code QUACK15 for 15% off. Let's get back to the video. All right, Samuel Whittemore. We don't know much, but here's what we do know. He was born in Charlestown, Massachusetts in 1696. From there, he goes dark. We don't hear from him until 1721 when he gets married to his wife, Elizabeth Spring. Then he goes dark again. There's nothing of him in the historical record until 1744. At the age of 48 years old, he would fight in King George's War. And during that war, he held the rank of captain, leading an entire platoon of dragoons during the siege of Louisburg. If you don't know, dragoon is just a fancy word for cavalry, so think of like Malfoy's dad from The Patriot. Same thing. So that's cool, whatever, but here's the important part that nobody...
Okay, first of all, why does he know Harry Potter? That just like messes with the whole image of Fat Electrician for me. Whole military, as I'm pretty sure somebody said that he also served in military. I don't know. Why wouldn't he watch Harry Potter? I don't know. It's just like weird shit to me. But yeah, makes sense. Like Harry Potter's a big thing. Why wouldn't he watch it?
else ever brings up. Like I said, he's a captain, which is a way bigger deal than most people make it out to be, and here's why. There's really only two ways that you can become an officer in the British military at this point in time. Way number one, you were born into a wealthy British aristocratic family, and daddy's got a lot of money. That's like 95% of the British officers at this point in time. Or way number two, and way less likely, you were a complete badass doing gangster shit on the regular, and they absolutely need you to lead some men. Given the fact that Samuel's just some random colonial that was born in Massachusetts, it kind of narrows down which category he fell into. So he and his men help lay siege to Fort Louisburg. That goes well. They take over the fort. From there, the war is over, so he heads back home to what is now Arlington, Massachusetts. From there, he goes back to doing seemingly the only other thing he's good at, because I'm not kidding you, this guy does two things his entire life. He plows stuff, and he fights wars. When he's not fighting wars, he's back at home plowing his fields and plowing his wife, because this dude has 10 kids. I am not kidding you. There was only two things on the historical record that even proved that this man existed for the next 10 years. One is
10 kids? There has to be some twins there, right? Because if it's not, which means like every year for next 10 years. I mean, what the fuck? Given 2-3 months off every time? I don't know. That's some insane, like, okay, basically factory work right there, non-stop.
the sheer amount of birth certificates where he is listed as the father. I mean, the mother is always his wife. He's not cheating on his wife. It's just they're having a bunch of kids. And second, and my most favorite detail of this entire story, when he came back from war, he had a very, very decorative, ornate, almost gaudy French officer's sword covered in gold and rhinestones and jewels and all kinds of shit. And it became his prized possession that he would show off to all of his buddies in town. And when they would ask him where on earth he got that, the only thing he would say is, and I quote, "The previous owner died suddenly. I acquired it." All right, so fast forward 10 years.
Yeah. It's basically loot system. He was playing Skyrim, centuries before Skyrim was a thing, apparently, right? It's like, I just looted off this. It's just like sick sword. Probably taken from some Elven,
Attila the Whittemore
whatever that
here
was.
is approximately 58 years old, and the French and Indian War breaks out. Now, does Sam have to go fight this war? Absolutely not. He is a 58-year-old man in the 1700s when the life expectancy is 60. He should be keeling over any minute now, but he also has 10...
Ooh, life expectancy is 60 around this time, and he started fighting, 48, like he said? Like, first I heard like 48, I'm like, okay, makes sense, I guess. Come on, man, 48, 50. But I was thinking of today's standard. Yeah, back then it's just like 60, 70. It's like, oh, like 70, you are older now. Like how people see 100 today. And he started doing that 48. 48 must be like really old by that time, right? Like, okay, oh my God, you're getting old. 50 is like, oh, I guess you're in the last run of your 60. Oh, look at that, you somehow survived 60. 70, oh my God, you're one of the lucky ones. That's what that would be, right? This is insane.
And kids, so he's literally like, honey, I gotta go beat up the French again, okay, bye.
Yeah, he has the gun maker.
If you don't know, the French and Indian War is basically the Kingdom of France versus the British Empire, and both sides are backed by different Native American tribes. This is supposedly the war that...
Isn't this like the Napoleon one, right? Because of the Napoleon's influence, there was like, there's also fighting, like, what is this called, 7 Years' War? What is it called? I don't know, I forget the name, but isn't this that one, right? That happened between, like, obviously French and English, but because of the colonies, it was like native Indians, Americans were involved, and this is the Napoleon time, right? Right? Is it the Napoleon time? I don't know. No, wait a minute, it's not Napoleon time. Oh yeah, this is like 7 Years' War, but before Napoleon time. This is for some trading right territory with France. That makes sense.
Mel Gibson's character fought in The Patriot, and presumably where he got his cool tomahawk from. Now, I know what you're thinking. Did Sam Whittemore get a cool tomahawk too?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. But what he did get was 2 matching dueling pistols that were super cool. And you're never going to believe this, but the previous owner died suddenly. Okay? Look, it's not stealing if they don't exist anymore. That's just the rules, I guess.
It's looting system. It's looting system. He was playing Skyrim. He was playing Fallout and Skyrim much before. It's like he has to be careful, right? Because if he reaches like a carry-on limit, then even a gram more he can't run anymore. That's what that was. This is looting. Everybody does it. It's very honorable. Best way to get gear.
French yet again. He acquires some fancy dueling pistols, and then he heads back home. Okay, fast forward again.
Did he get the perk for dual pistols though?
It is now 1763, and Sam Whittemore is 67 years old, and the Pontiac Rebellion breaks out. Surely he's going to sit this one out, right? Absolutely not. He grabs his French sword, he grabs his double dueling pistols, his musket, and he heads off to war yet again. So he goes, he fights in that war for a little bit, comes back home, at which point...
67! When the expectancy was 60 years. What? This shit is insane. It's like somebody 90 years old, like fucking, I don't know, Joe Biden or something just decides, I'm going to go to war. I'm fighting in war, fuck this. Right? Like Donald Trump, Joe Biden, somebody, like even they're like kind of younger for this kind of like scale. Somebody 95-year-old, oh, I'm going to go to war type of shit. If the 60-year is like average expectancy, this shit is insane.
Point, he decides that he's going to get involved in politics. So somewhere along the line, he starts rolling around in the political circles. He finds himself at a fancy dinner party, and there's this guy there that's running for House of Representatives, and his name is John Vassell, and he represents everything that Sam hates. Sam is a small-town farmer that's just trying to plant his crops and bang his wife, and this guy is like the big, powerful merchant out of Boston, the big city, running the ports, making all this money. He wants to get into office to make laws more beneficial to him so he can be rich, and Sam is just trying to get by. So, at this dinner party, Sam, who's not scared of anybody, informs him, hey, by the way, you're no better suited for office than the horse I rode in on. By the way, my horse's name is Nero, he's parked out front, and he's not worth 5 pounds, which I'm not an expert in translating old-timey colonial speak, but it sounds like he's saying you're not worth a horse's ass, go fuck yourself. At which point, John Vassal gets very upset and decides that he is going to sue Sam for public defamation for the price of 1,000 pounds, which is a shit ton of money back then. So the entire town...
I remember that movie, that stupid Hulk Hogan movie. I don't remember that, but as a kid, I remember watching that, right? Like where he's somewhat like an alien or something. I don't even know what that is. And he come across some monster truck type of guy, or was it like drag racer type of guy? I don't know, some muscular and big man. He's like, what you gonna do about it? Fight you? No, I'm gonna sue you. This is basically similar to that. Oh yeah, all this manly talk is happening. I'm gonna sue your ass. They sue my ass. I thought we were gonna have a duel or something.
Finds out about this lawsuit, and they all show up to court to actually watch the trial because Sam represents that grizzled old man that's just saying what's on everybody's mind, but nobody else has the balls to say. And he goes in and basically turns this entire trial into the roast of John Vassal. Ends up winning. Sam doesn't get sued, at which point he slaps him with a counter lawsuit on the spot and ends up countersuing him for $200 and wins. So that kind of launched.
This is like, I don't know possible, but as soon as it's like a roast of it, I'm just imagining in my head, right? So he says something like, Sam basically says something like that might be just like, let's just say appropriate but not appropriate type of thing, touch and go type of thing. And judge is like, the opposition like, like objection, and just like overruled. I want to hear this one. It's just like roast is just going on.
Sam's political career. Fast forward again. It is now 1765, and the British Empire has been fighting France for quite a while, and it's getting expensive. They need to make more money, and the best thing they can come up with is the Stamp Act. Basically, they're going to charge the colonials a tax on every single printed piece of paper that they come up with. This is like the modern day equivalent of if every time you made a phone call, sent a text, or visited a website, you had to pay a tax for it. And people are absolutely outraged, and Sam...
This is the one, I think Oversimplified made a joke about this, right? There's a tax for that. Every paper, like your stamp. Yeah, this is such an insane thing, right? Like this basically like the root of why America basically hates tax. Anytime somebody says tax, people lose their mind. It's basically this like where the root of it starts, right?
Is infuriated. I mean, from his point of view, he's been fighting the French for the British Empire, and now he's going to have to pay an extra tax just for doing it. He is so mad that he ends up becoming a hardcore revolutionary. But he's also like a 70-year-old man, so he's mostly just serving on committees being like, hey, maybe America should be its own country, we shouldn't pay so much in taxes, yada yada yada. Fast forward again.
How is he surviving?
It is now 1773. Samuel Whittemore is a 75-year-old man, and the British government has just rolled out their new and improved strategy for making...
Did this guy Joe Biden it at that time? He's 75? Like, look at Trump and Joe Biden, like especially Joe Biden basically just like can't even talk straight. And this guy's 75 back then? Like, damn, that's something.
Even more money, the Tea Act. Yeah, they're going to start taxing the importation of tea, which will go down in history as one of the greatest ideas of all time.
Yeah,
now, at this
everyone
point,
knows this
Sam
shit.
is serving on a committee representing his hometown of Cambridge, which would later become known as Arlington. And that committee sends a response to the British government in regards to the Tea Act that basically says, fine, if you're going to charge us more money, we're just not going to buy your tea because, and I quote, if we fail to assert our rights, we will dwindle into supineness. Now, like I said earlier, not an expert in translating old-timey colonial talk, but it sounds like Sam and his committee just told the British government that we're not going to buy your metric leaf water because we're not going to let you guys fuck us. That's why. At this point, pretty much everybody in America is pissed off. They start smuggling
tea. I mean, imagine like today, like who the fuck drinks tea in America? I mean, I drink tea in India, but like, is this one of the reasons like nobody gives a fuck about tea? I mean, obviously like liberal green tea shit is like increasing, but not tea, proper black tea type of thing.
Tea to avoid taxes. The Boston Tea Party happens December 1773. From there, people just start stockpiling guns and gunpowder and supplies, getting ready for war if one should break out. Now, fast forward April 1775, General Thomas Gage is appointed the military governor of Massachusetts, and he will be residing in Boston, which has been turned into a British military stronghold. At that point, General Gage decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to get proactive. I'm going to stomp out this whole rebellion talk right here and right now. I'm going to take 700 men, an entire regiment, and I'm gonna march them out to Lexington and Concord. While they're in Lexington, they're gonna arrest those stupid, annoying revolutionaries, John Hancock and Samuel Adams, and then they're gonna continue marching to Concord, where they're gonna burn
Minutemen.
down all the stocked up military supplies. So the British military starts making preparations for a huge movement, at which point revolutionary spies find out and they decide to let everybody know. And when I say they decide to let everybody know, I mean a silversmith from Boston by the name of Paul Revere is going to take off at midnight, ride through the entire countryside, going house to house, telling everybody that the British are coming. And guess whose house is between Boston and Lexington? Sam motherfucking Whittemore, that's who. I'm not shitting you. It is like 99% sure that Paul Revere showed up at 78-year-old Samuel Whittemore's house sometime in the middle of the night and was like, hey, just letting you know, the British are coming. At which point he's like,
get off my lawn.
Then presumably Paul Revere's like, okay, whatever, I gotta go warn everybody else, and Samuel goes back to bed. That morning, April 19th, 1775, the British are marching and they're almost to Lexington, and they are cut off by 77 Minutemen, led by a man by the name of John Parker. John Parker orders the Minutemen to, quote, stand your ground, don't fire unless fired upon, but if they mean to have war, let it begin here. So the...
I mean, damn, like, Paul Revere basically, saying the British are coming is like one of the most iconic history ever, right? And basically this guy was a kind of like center of it, like there. Paul Revere also went to like, okay. And I'm pretty sure like they were like, they weren't just willy-nilly. They probably knew like, who were important figures or not. So I'm pretty sure like Paul Revere probably went to Samuel basically knowing his history and something. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I played some video games like this, Assassin's Creed 3 that kind of like touches this, right? Fallout 4, if you read history, there's some there. But yeah, and also I watch videos like oversimplified things like that. But this is such an insane history where some badass guy like this was in the center of it. Like nobody talks about this.
Roll up with 700 trained professional soldiers and tell these 77 Minutemen, literally farmers that just picked up whatever guns they had around, and told them, disperse you rebel scum. At which point the Minutemen are like, nah, we're good. We're going to stay right here, and so are you. And that's exactly what happens. They just stand there staring at each other from across this field, with the British officer not knowing what to do because he has to get to Concord to get rid of these supplies because those were his orders, but he also doesn't want to open fire on these guys because that will mean the start of the Revolutionary War. So they just stood there, seemingly forever, in formation, ready to throw down, waiting for the other guy to make the first move, and suddenly from the American side, a gun goes off. Nobody knows who fired, nobody knows why, but this was the shot heard around the world that would start the American Revolution. And for all we know, it could have been some old farmer that just dropped his gun.
Yep.
From there, all hell breaks loose. Both sides fire on each other. 8 American Minutemen are killed, and the British advance
He's
towards
in the
Concord.
Patriot scene,
The
right?
surviving
It's definitely
Minutemen take
Patriot
off
scene.
to go tell everybody that the Revolutionary War has officially begun, as the British spend the next 4 hours searching through Concord, gathering all the military supplies and lighting them on fire. Everybody in the surrounding area sees all the smoke from the burning supplies, and they think that the British military is burning down the entire town of Concord. Because of that, 2,000 Minutemen show up to fight back, at which point the British are like, oh shit, and they start retreating. They run across a bridge and start ripping the planks off of it as they go, at which point the 2,000 Minutemen and 700 British soldiers fire upon one another from either side of this bridge as the British continue to retreat. The British now have to march 18 miles back to their military stronghold in Boston in their stupid high-vis Redcoats, and every single American with a gun between there and Boston is taking pop shots at them from the wood line. During this retreat, 26 Redcoats
imagine
go
that.
missing, 175...
This is literally like an escape scenario, right? Because you are literally like now, before it was like, okay, this is our colonies, we are gonna, basically stabilize them and only root out the radicals or whatever. Now it's like, okay, everybody turn enemy, right? We are in the center of enemy. Wherever we go, if there's a house, there's a guy probably there that's gonna shoot at us. Like that's just insane, like for miles. Damn, how did they survive at all?
Are wounded, and 73 are killed, and 3 of them at least are from Samuel Whittemore. So we cut back to Samuel Whittemore. He's 78 years old, chilling at home, presumably plowing something. What? We don't really know. And he just hears gunfire going off in the background, and it's getting closer and closer. And then he remembers, oh, That fucking kid woke me up last night in midnight, told me the British were coming. Maybe that's what's going on. So he goes, he grabs his fancy French officer's sword, both of his dueling pistols, and his musket, and he goes out to the main road that the British would be marching past, and he's gonna stand by the stone wall next to the main road and just wait for the fight to come to him.
Okay, did the Patriot story took inspiration from this? Because it's really lining up to the fucking movie. What is this? I bet this movie took inspiration from this, right? There can't be any other way. Because the way he's telling the story about Samuel, like how he's just like, a guy who just liked his home, liked his kids, right? Obviously, it's not completely aligned with the Patriot movie story, but some character feel kind of same way in that, right? And also this scene he's talking about. But he was all like, okay, this is like, somebody just blowing firecrackers or something. Oh yeah, that kid talked about like British are coming, just like in nothing like everyday shit. It's a major historical event. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take my guns now. I guess I'll join as well.
Him like the complete badass that he is. At this point, all the younger Minutemen are running up to check on this old man like, hey, what are you doing? You shouldn't be out here, and if you are going to try to do this kind of stuff, at least go out in the wood line or in like a second-story window to hide yourself like the rest of us so you don't get yourself killed. To which Samuel Whittemore responds, and I quote, if I can only be the instrument for killing one of my country's foes, I shall die in peace. Which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck. At this point, this man is literally the living embodiment of old man strength. He's just that old, grizzled, veteran Viking that's got one more fight left in him and wants to die in battle so he can go to Valhalla. So he stays there, he loads his musket, he loads his pistols, and he waits. And he waits, and finally the British come marching right down the road, dead at him. As they get close, he crouches down behind the stone wall with his musket and waits until they get to point blank range, and that's when he pops up over the wall, aims his gun,
I said get off my lawn now,
and fires, immediately killing one redcoat on the spot, drawing both of his pistols, killing two more redcoats, drawing his sword, and charging into over 500 soldiers on his own. He is then immediately shot in the face. He falls to the ground and is somehow still alive, so he reaches to grab one of his guns and start reloading it, at which point the British run up and stab him with bayonets somewhere between 6 and 13 times. Apparently, after the first 5, they all kind of blend together. He is then clubbed in the head with the butt of a rifle and left for dead, as his body lays there, mangled and lifeless.
Okay, there's just 3 minutes still left in this video. Are you telling me he survived?
As the British continue to march through the town on their way to Boston. 4 hours later, the townspeople notice that his corpse starts moving. So they pick
What the
Samuel up,
fuck
they
is
get him
this?
over to the doctor, they alert the family shows up to the doctor, at which point the local town doctor, Nathaniel Tufts, is like, the dude is 78 years old. He was
I mean, yes, it's like all the stab wound, like bullet to the head, like stomping at the head, whatever the shit was, like all the variety of wounds you can get, like, it's like he got all the lucky draws there, shot at the head, basically, blunt force trauma to the head, stabbing 13 times. Oh, look at that, and just like mumbling himself, like get off my lawn, and just like crawling, like what the fuck.
wasn't prepared to handle a fall down the stairs, let alone getting stabbed 13
Seriously?
times and shot in the head. Okay, like there's no way this old man's gonna make it. But like I said, his family members start showing up, and guess how many direct descendants Samuel Whittemore has at this point in time
10
after
kids
all that
plus-
plowing? Go ahead, give it a guess. Say it in your head.
30?
Okay, you got your number? Okay, he's got 185 living descendants, okay?
How the fuck that happened? He's saying descendants, right? So he's 10 kids. He's like 75 and he had kids like when? He's like 30 or something. So I guess his kids grew up, then they had kids 10. Well, all they had 10, like 10, there's like 100 or something. Damn.
He's got 5 generations beneath him. He's got kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, great-grandkids squared, and great-grandkids cubed. 185 people showing up to the doctor like, hey, save Grandpa. At this point, poor Dr. Tufts is like, dude's gonna die, but I'm not about to tell 180 grandkids that.
Save Grandpa. Do you have a duct tape? Because at this point I have nothing. What the fuck am I going to do? Like 13 stabs right now. Bullet shot in the head. I don't know. Duct tape, I guess, might do it.
So I'll try my best. So he does what he can. He bandages him up and sends him home with his family, and they take care of him for the remainder of his days. And when I say the remainder of his days, what I mean is, let me check my notes real quick. I mean that he passed on February 3rd, 1793. This motherfucker lived for 18 more years and passed away at the age of 96. And to commemorate...
Fuck you. How the fuck did he survive and lived 18 years? This shit is insane. Are we sure about the, this history? Like, is this history accurate? Because at this point, like, I don't know what to say, man. First of all, life expectancy is like 60. He's living 95 while being this kind of like, saying mortally wounded is just like a, like an understatement. He should be dead. He should be dead as soon as, after the third stab, he should be dead. He was stabbed 13 times. And also bonus bullet with a shot to the head. Unless there was a rubber bullet, how the fuck did he survive that? Like, head, I'm pretty sure like pierce and went inside the brain. Like, I'm pretty sure doctor didn't know shit back then. How did he just basically did anything for the brain? What, he just survived? Like, what kind of, I don't understand this. This is the most insane story I've heard so far. And I've read quite a few videos and I've heard quite a few insane stories. From those mad lad stories and obviously from this channel and many things. This is the most insane one.
Samuel Whittemore, there's actually a monument where he made his last stand.
Oh, for the...
6. And to commemorate Samuel Whittemore, there's actually...
Near the spot, Samuel Whittemore, then 80-year-old, killed 3 British soldiers. April 1775, he was shot, bayoneted, beaten and left for dead, but recovered and lived to be 98 years of age. 98! Nearly made a century back then, after all this shit.
A monument where he made his last stand. Buh! You said that he was 78 during his last stand and 96 when he died, and that clearly says that he was 98 when he died and 80 during his last stand. Why are you so dumb? Buh! Okay, look, I understand your point, and I also can kind of sort of read, and I realize the irony because this is literally written in stone, and I'm telling you that it's wrong, but it is wrong. That is the only source that says that he was 98 when he died and 80 during his last stand. Every other source says...
I guess it's a stone as in like a... destination where people can come so they can exaggerate. 96 when I was 98, he was nearly 100. They can probably do that, and like 2 years, why does it matter? That type of shit.
Says that he was 78 and 96. This has been proven to be false multiple times, but they don't want to change it because the monument's already so old. So yes, I'm sticking with what I said. But the most important part of this picture is to actually zoom in on the house in the background. That's Samuel Whittemore's original house where he lived his entire life, and it's still around today as a historical site.
Original house, how is it still surviving? Like, how much maintenance is it like doing? Damn.
In Arlington, Massachusetts, and that monument is in the front yard. So if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, what I'm trying to tell you is, in conclusion, this has been the story of America's first and oldest gangster, a 78-year-old grizzled veteran that woke up on the first day of the American Revolutionary War and decided to...
Gangster. I was making like the video game analogies. This is literally video. This is like Bethesda Game Studio game, pressing the console button and just like putting like guard mode on. Because he fucking didn't die. Damage didn't happen to him.
Casually go 3-0 while telling the entire British Empire to get off his lawn. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
The more fucked up thing is there might be some British travelers who might be coming there as a visit right now, seeing the stone and everything. He's like, God damn it.
I've never been more excited for a future t-shirt design. I can see it now. America's original gangster, get off my lawn. Samuel Whittemore with 2 cross-dueling pistols and a sword. It's gonna be fantastic.
I like how he mumbles and walks away. Man, I seriously would, I really want that t-shirt. I don't know if it can ship to India. I'll check it. But damn, I want that fucking t-shirt. Man, the best story of all time. I'm still like, I don't know. Like, I'm like some part of taking things with a grain of salt is still like going with me, because how is this like physically possible? How he can have this much damage and still survives, man? I mean, I know, like, the fabrication probably went through like many sources, and like, there's also stone, right? Satin stone, literally. No way in hell there's going to be any, like false or something, because why would that need to be? That doesn't need to be. And I'm pretty sure this is not that famous story because I've never heard of it. That's why I fucking love this channel. Electrician talks about the stories which are insanely good. Everybody should talk about, but nobody does. All are underrated, but they should not be underrated. That's how good they are. This is the most gangster of them all. Alright, well, that was Angry Old Veteran versus 700 Redcoats. Samuel Whittemore. I'll have to remember that name. This was the channel, The Fat Electrician. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.